Okay, I've got my Excel spreadsheet open to the data spreadsheet page, and I'm ready to start working on question 4. So I'm going to select all the answers to question 4, and ask Excel to make a pivot table. We've done this before. Clicking next to amount spent, dragging it down into the values, and it's telling me how many of each of the 5 choices there were. Now I'm going to write these numbers down on a piece of paper, and now I'm going to click on the tab for amount spent. That takes me to another page of my Excel file, the one that looks like this. And in the frequency column here, I'm going to fill in these 5 boxes, those 5 numbers I wrote down. 14, 18, 12, 9, and 2. You might have different actual numbers. And I'm going to click in the box below at cell E8. Now I'm going to go up here and click where it says Auto Sum. And I'm just going to hit the Enter button on my keyboard, and it added up all the numbers there, and there's my total. It should say 55. If it doesn't, your numbers aren't right, or something's not right. All of these numbers are centered vertically and horizontally. If yours are not, you should adjust that by selecting these and clicking on the centering buttons. Now I'm going to fill in the cumulative frequencies. The first cumulative frequency is the same as the first frequency. I can type either the actual number, which for me is 14, or I can type equals E3, which will just copy over the number that's in cell E3. The second cumulative frequency is that plus the 18 that's the next one. So I could add those together myself and type in the number, or I could type in equals E3 plus E4. The next one would be equal to E3 plus E4 plus E5. The next one is E3 plus E4 plus E5 plus E6. And the next one is E3 plus E4 plus E5 plus E6 plus E7, which should be 55. I'm going to go ahead and save what I have now so I don't lose my work. And now I'm ready to fill in this next table. So this column here is for the midpoints. That's what XM means, the X that's in the middle of that class. So for the first class, I need the midpoint that's halfway between 10 and 16. So I'm going to type in, I'm going to click on this cell, and then I'm going to type equals, parenthesis, B3 plus D3, close parentheses, divided by 2. So that kind of averages together these two numbers, the 10 that's in cell B3 and the 16 in D3. Now I can just copy that down by clicking that little green box in the lower right corner of the cell and then dragging down here. So now I have all my midpoints, 13, 20, 27, 34, and 41, that are in the middles of these 5 classes. Now I need to fill in frequency times midpoint. So I'm clicking in cell I3 and typing equals E3 times H3. For times, I use the asterisk. That's Shift 8. And then enter. And the number that showed up in my spreadsheet was 182, because that came from this 14 times this 13. Now I'm going to click on the little box, drag down through the other 4 cells, release, and now I've got the frequency times midpoint for these. And I'm going to click below in cell I8, go up here and click auto sum, hit enter, and that added up those 5 numbers in that column. Now I'm ready for frequency times midpoint squared. So I'm going to click here in cell J3 and type equals E3 times H3 squared and hit enter. Now I'm going to go back, click that again, and copy down. Click below in cell J8 and auto sum, enter. Now I'm ready to fill in these measures of central tendency and variation. So for the mean, I'm clicking in cell G10 and I'm typing equals I8, that's the letter I and the number 8, not 18, but letter I8, divided by E8, and hit enter. So for the mean, I got 22.8. And this already shows it in tenths. 22.8 has already been rounded to the nearest tenth. But if yours is showing more than 1 digit after the decimal point, use the decrease decimal button, click that until you only have 1 digit showing. Now for the variance, I'm clicking in cell G11, and I'm typing this, be careful, equals parenthesis J8 minus I8 squared. So I use the exponent symbol, which is shift 6 and then 2. So I8 to the 2 power. Slash, that's divided by E8, close parentheses, now divided by, open parentheses, E8 minus 1, close parentheses. Enter. So that's my variance. Now I'm clicking in cell G12 and I'm typing equals SQRT, which stands for square root, parenthesis G11, close parentheses. So I'm asking Excel to give me the square root of the number in cell G11, which was the variance, because the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. And there should just be 1 digit after the decimal point showing, like this, 8.0. If there isn't, use the decrease decimal button. Now for the range, I'm just going to type in, the numbers go from 10 to 44, so I'm just going to type that in, 10 to 44. Oops, it interpreted that as a date, as October 44th or something like that. So let me go back and change that. I'm clicking in cell G13, and I'm using this pull-down menu to change this to text. Now I'm going to go back and change that again. Go back and type 10-44, and this time it shouldn't reformat or reinterpret that. It's going to leave it as 1044. Now I'm clicking in cell G14, and I'm giving it the modal class. That's the class with the highest frequency. For me, it's 17 to 23. Yours might be the same or it might be different, but it's whichever class has the highest frequency. So type in 17 to 23 or whatever your modal class is. So now I'm going to save my work. And we still have to draw a histogram, but I'm going to stop this video here and come back in a separate video to do the graph.